Hello, and welcome to another episode of How to Get Ahead with Millennial Life Coaches. I am your host, Tanya, and today I am joined by the beautiful Barbara Palmer. Now, Barbara is a life coach and a health coach that works with a lot of business owners and C-suite executives. So she is able to come in and kind of look at the whole holistic approach of what's going on in your life and help you really make sense of what your next steps are. So welcome to the show, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank
Of
you, Tanya, for having me.
course. So let's dive right into it. So, life health coach, we work with a lot of executives and business owners. Tell me a little bit more what that means, what that looks like.
Well, what that looks like is I work with my clients. I focus on what they want to focus on. If we're focused on things relevant to an organization, like organizational change, then everything starts with the leader. So we start with what their vision is, but they need to have what I call breakthrough clarity. So I help them by using one of the techniques that I'm certified in. It's a technique called MAP. That's the acronym. It stands for Make Anything Possible. And so I use that as a way for them to be crystal clear, breakthrough clarity about what it is that they really want to accomplish or create that isn't happening. So that's how we start. So with that clarity, that helps to determine what are we going to focus on next? What are we going to do next?
Love that. Okay. And when we look at the map process and really what our vision is and getting really crystal clear, is that more as like the leader of their own lives or like the leader in their organization, or is it kind of this beautiful marriage of both?
It really is a marriage of both. Because many times whatever we'll say gains or insights happen that are relative to the workplace spill over into the personal life. So you can't improve one area without impacting everything else that's a part of that person's life. you know
I love that because I feel like as business owners and people who are kind of like in that go, go, go season, a lot of us tend to forget that outside of that contains so much of it too. I heard an analogy at one point in time, and it was like our life is kind of like a tire. If one area is flat, we're not going very far. So
right.
it's kind, yeah, I love that. Um, okay, let's talk about the crystal clear clarity because I find a lot of people, especially those that are very business minded, we come in and we're like, I'm so narrowed in. I have this crystal clear dialed in, but yet we're always missing a piece or two.
Yeah.
Any advice or elements that you can give
i
our
am
listeners?
I am so glad that this has come up in our conversation because that's
It's
part of
true.
why I use MAP. The thing that's unique about the MAP approach is that it helps to identify and help to neutralize. Some people call them hidden beliefs, limiting beliefs. The bottom line is it's like having blinders, and where what you really need to see, you're not able to see. MAP is able to remove those blinders during a session while we're focused on what that person wants to focus on, that they're feeling kind of stuck. You know, the MAP process, and I'll just throw this out there. So, real quick, the MAP process recognizes that we each have a superconscious.
Okay.
And so we're tapping into that superconscious, which has this infinite wisdom, knows everything about you, has been with you since your conception, and knows where the roots of these, we'll call them hidden beliefs or limiting beliefs are. While you're focused on what you want to accomplish, it starts to come up in your mind, including your subconscious, what it is that is causing you to stick, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Your superconscious is able to see that
Okay.
and able to neutralize that and to help you to be able to get the wisdom, the clarity that's behind that block. So imagine the block dissolving, and behind it is this wisdom that was there all the time that's able to come through as insight.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So
Yeah.
how does the block kind of dissolve? Is there processes and like steps that we have to go through in order to break down some of these? Because I know when it comes to those limiting beliefs and those self-sabotage like patterns, they can be quite deep.
Yes, they are quite deep. However, superconscious is quite powerful. And so that's the thing about MAP. It makes anything possible because your superconscious and we have specific, repeatedly used, proven procedures when we're communicating with the superconscious. Now, the person's superconscious is looking out for them.
Hmm.
So whatever it is, as far as how we're guided, just know that change during a MAP session happens like we're having this conversation. The person can start off where they are feeling so stuck. If they were to rate it from 0 to 10, they are feeling like, there's just something that is just not happening. And it's a 10. It's just, they're just getting nowhere. By the time we finish that session, which might last 75 minutes, they can have crystal clear clarity about what it was that they were initially stuck on.
Wow, that quick, hey?
Yeah,
That's
that quick.
amazing.
Yeah.
So how many sessions as a general do you work through with an individual in order to help them bust through and break through? Is it one per like block or is it like an extended period of time?
It's an extended period of time. I look at working with a person for like 6 months. And then if they want to continue, we determine that. But what tends to happen, we really are kind of, you may have heard the analogy where we're kind of like onions. No, not that we're smelly or anything like that, but you know, we've got all these layers. So during that 6 months, imagine that you've got these layers being removed, and not only the things that were creating blocks being removed, but when those things are removed, there really is this wisdom and insight and answers and solutions and ideas and innovation that comes through. So during that 6 months, we're actually helping them to get clear about what they want and be able to actually achieve goals or come up with inspired action steps. And so their life is changing in the course of this 6 months, and it's changing because they're changing. They're learning how to tap into a part of themselves that has solutions and answers and help. And I also teach them how to use MAP on the go, so that on a day-to-day basis, if they're starting to deal with something where it's how people say they're starting to feel some kind of way, maybe
They can
they're getting
change it.
ready to go into an important meeting, or there's something that's coming up that's important to them, and something is going on inside of them where maybe they're not feeling as confident as they normally do, but they've got to go and do this presentation. They can
Hmm.
use MAP on the go and speak through their own superconscious as they have been instructed. This is how you do it. And they can actually go in feeling more confident, more calm, more focused, uh, because it works that fast.
I love that. So it's basically setting people up with the right tools to change
Yes.
their entire life in any minute.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Okay, so one of my favorite questions then, what kind of transformations have you seen when people get out of their own way and they start getting that clarity in their day to day?
I'm so glad you asked. I have seen people recognize that the story they were telling themselves about the whole situation was just a story. And all the emotion that was there that went along with the story, that's actually what was creating the block. It's the story itself, all the investment in the story, the emotions in the story. And the thing about MAP is the person doesn't lose their memory of whatever they were thinking before, they lose the story. Superconscious neutralizes those stories where it's kind of like trying to remember a story. It's like, I know I used to get really upset about that. Where is that? It's like there's a part of you that says, hey, that didn't serve you. It's not serving you. And if that's what you want to let go of, I'll help you let go of that so that you can focus on what you want to focus on and be the version of yourself, the highest version of yourself that you want to be, so that you can accomplish the goals that are important to you.
Love that. I love that. Let's dive into the story because I feel like a lot of us know we're doing this. We know that we have these stories running in our heads, yet we're not quite sure where it came from, how to change it,
Yes.
maybe even if it's our story or it was given to us by somebody
Yeah.
else.
It's
So
an adopted
let's
story.
yeah, let's talk about the story because that is a huge element in any part of our journey. So,
Yes.
I guess, how do you explain a little bit about the story? What are some common ones you've seen or heard? Um, yeah, let's start there.
Okay. So the thing about the stories, and we've all got them. The thing about the stories is that you can have stories that are passed on to you that are actually stored in your DNA. So so just know that for however many generations, just know you can have stories, and it's kind of like you don't know where the story came from, but it's there. But the bottom line is we have, whether it's from our childhood and things that we experienced, uh, a lot of the stories are where we experience something and we try to make sense of it. And so we come up with a story or a judgment. That's another way of
Yep.
putting it, because the reality is the stories are based on a judgment that we made. We made a decision that something was good or bad, and usually when we're talking about anything that would self-sabotage us or cause us to be stuck, it's where we decided that something was really bad. That when that happens, we don't want that to happen again, and that becomes the story. It's like, this is awful, but it's a judgment.
Hmm.
So, but it gets repeated. And because it gets repeated in your head, where you start thinking, it's almost like anticipating. It starts to become not just a judgment of something that happened, but a judgment of what you don't want to happen again. And the way that we are made, and most people don't realize this, don't get this, but this is true. What we focus on, what we give attention to, grows. What we focus on, even if we focus on something and say, I don't want this, the fact that you are focused on whatever's on the other side of that don't want, that is what you are focused on. So you get more of it just because that is what you're focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh.
it's the stories. The stories are based on judgments and things being repeated. And the more you focus on it, it just becomes like a loop where you are thinking about it the same way. So you're getting the same results. That's the other thing, is the results become are what a person starts to feel stuck about. It's like, why am I not getting beyond this?
Hmm.
Or it's like meeting the same kind of person. It's like, I know this type of person, this doesn't work for me, but here we are, you know, or there you
Over and
are.
over again.
Yeah, yeah. But the bottom line is, it starts with us, how we love ourselves, how we value ourselves for real.
Hmm.
Not what we say, not what we think people expect, not even what we truly desire, because if there's a part of us that doesn't agree, it's like I have this important position and I do great work. I have this degree and that degree, and I have all these accomplishments. But if there's a part of you that is always, kind of whispering, it's like, you don't know enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you really aren't that important. And this once again, it could be from an old story. And with MAP, imagine that old story being, how can we say, dissolved.
Yeah.
It's like that old story gets dissolved. The memory is there, and whatever wisdom, and I do mean this, there really is wisdom on the other side of whatever it is that we even thought was awful,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
So does it change the way we view the outcomes? Because technically a story is created from a judgment, and the
yes,
outcomes are what solidify it in our
yeah,
brains. So it just shifts the way we see the outcomes?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, it does. I can give you an example, not just from a client, but I also have experienced this. I'm not sharing a technique or a procedure that I haven't experienced myself. So this is quick story, true story. Some of us have certain memories that are just painful memories that we may not even talk to other people about, but it keeps popping up. I had this old memory from a Christmas morning where things went as a child terribly wrong on this Christmas morning. Where bottom line is, I was so excited as this child. I burst into my parents' room. I don't know what these guys were doing, but I think I interrupted something.
Oh no.
Now, but memory wise, I wasn't thinking like what I just told you. I interrupted something,
Yeah.
No, all I know is that I was kind of rolling around the room because,
It's Christmas.
it's like there was a collision that happened. And, my memory was, it was like, I was awful. I did something really bad. Once I had the map session and that came up, it was like I could see myself in my parents' room, and where I completely understood. It's like I was there and I understood that this young couple, it's like it was Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. I don't know what it was for them, but whatever they were doing, this child just burst into their space. And it had nothing to do with my value, it had nothing to do with my worth. But that is what came through as the story was dissolved. I
Well,
hope that kind of
yeah,
helps.
absolutely. That's really cool because it's part of reshaping our past that impacts the future, and that's a powerful gift to be able to give somebody.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So say I'm an executive, I'm out there, I'm listening, I'm like, okay, this sounds very interesting. I really want to learn a little bit more. First, let's start with how do people get a hold of you?
Uh, People get a hold of me through email. They can also go to my website, but BP, that's B like Barbara, P like Palmer. Yeah, not British Petroleum. Uh, at bplifecoaching.com. Uh, and if they can remember this entire part, bplifecoachingservices.com. That is my website. And I also have a landing page that's at bplifecoaching.com.
Perfect. So we'll get all that linked in the show notes below, so it's super easy for our listeners to find. Um, but Barbara, what I'd really like to ask, I guess, is so I'm teetering this. I now know where to get a hold of you. This is all sounding kind of interesting. What are some actionable tips or steps that I can take right now to start maybe checking in with my story? Like, what is the story that I'm running? What is that block that keeps coming up if I'm not quite sure just yet? And I'm teetering with the like, maybe let's reach out and ask, but I'm still not sure if I even have one or if I want to admit to it.
We
What
all
are some
have them.
actionable steps that people can take?
Yeah. Is to start being intentional about noticing what they're noticing.
Okay.
That's the best way I can put it. I remind people that the real you is not your mind. You have a mind. Some people let their minds run their lives as though it's like that is not you. You're the part of, you're the person or the aspect of you that notices all of this. You're the part of you that is aware of what you're thinking, that is aware of what you're doing, that is deciding this is what I want,
Mm.
and then having a decision about, you know, it's like, I think we want to do something a little different, next time. But remind me what we were talking about. Anyway,
Just kind of an actionable step that someone can take.
actionable steps would start with just, like I said, notice what you're noticing, and journaling. Start to notice what it is that you were thinking about if you're feeling a certain way, whether it's good or bad. I mean, you're excited. What were you thinking about? What were you doing? It's like getting to know yourself. And then the things that do kind of upset you, what was it? What were you thinking about? And what did it remind you of? When is another time that you felt that way or experienced that? Those are some things that they can do.
Oh, I
And
love
regardless
that.
of what comes up, if they choose to focus on the good, to be grateful, I mean, even grateful that when the things happen that you don't prefer, those are also things that have helped to shape you.
Yeah.
So it's like just knowing that there's some way that things work together for our highest good because we respond to the things that happen to us, good, bad, ugly, however we want to look at it. And once again, we are the ones who get to make up those stories about was it good, bad, or ugly. And if the stories we have been telling ourselves and start noticing, that's the whole thing about the journaling, is you can create a new story. Let go of the old story and create a new story. What do you really want? And to know that anything's possible. It's been proven that anything is possible. We've been taught that you have to have certain things together in the as external to yourself in order for you to achieve something.
Yeah.
Most people, they, even to make an appointment, they look at their calendar as though their calendar is going to give them permission. It's like, do you want to do this? It's like before you even look at the calendar. you
That's
know
fair. Guilty of
now
that. Do that all the time.
yeah. But the whole thing about just having compassion on yourself, even when you notice certain things that you don't like, when things happen that you wish didn't happen, find something to be grateful for. It will help you to be able to deal with anything else. That's the best way.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I really hate that we are teetering on that time frame. Before we take this to a close, is there any last bit of advice or guidance or just anything that's on your heart that you want to say to our listeners?
For them to just know that a lot of what we have been, when I say we, all of us, we've been taught to make up these stories. We've been taught to judge ourselves, judge other people, and we can be pretty brutal in how we judge ourselves and other people. And however we judge ourselves is an indication of how we are judging other people, and vice versa. Because some people don't realize how they're judging themselves, but if they start noticing how they judge other people, they judge themselves the same way. So if they're being hard on other people, they are being hard on themselves too, which means there's a gap there in terms of really loving themselves and believing that they're worthy of good things, happening for them.
Oh my goodness. Okay. This has been such a great episode. Again, we will link all the ways that you can get in contact with Barbara to the show notes below so that you have access to go talk to her. She is obviously brilliant and can honestly change the way you see things. So, thank you so much for joining me again today, Barbara. It has been such a pleasure talking with you and just having this experience. So, thank you.
You are welcome, Miss Tanya.
This has been another episode of How to Get Ahead with Millennial Life Coaches, and we cannot wait to see you in the next one.